partnership network, implementation capabilities, and in doing so, we could significantly accelerate value chain. Prima, they only know me as a lawyer in the ANC. I'm a farmer. This 48% in the world is ours, with Wiphold and big institutions. 48% in the world, where did you see it? Born in Zanin, right? We farm lychees, we breed cattle, we breed game, and it's black people who do it. Let's have more and more of us doing it. Our experience in berry industry provides another great example of innovative development models. Similar to our successful initiative where we unlocked 230 hectares of water rights through strategic partnerships, we see immense potential to replicate this success across Limpopo. The blowback process must go all over success. It doesn't have to be potatoes. It can be other cultivars. We must think in a versatile way, you know. But avocado can never live alone. The key to these successes lies in our ability to structure deals that benefit all stakeholders. When we bring together commercial expertise, development funding, and market access, we create sustainable models that can be replicated and scaled up nationally as well. This is not just about individual projects. It is also about building framework for systematic, inclusive agricultural food security. Before you chase me away, the importance of Limpopo agricultural sector extends beyond commercial success. This province is playing a crucial role in ensuring food security, not just for your province, but for the entire Southern African region. The potato production provides a stable source of this stable food. Your maize production helps keep prices stable and supply reliable. But food security is just about production volumes. It is also about accessibility and affordability. Through a small-scale farmer support program, we can ensure food production happens at all levels, with households level, commercial farms, to new farms, aggregator model with opportunity for small-scale processing hubs could also support young entrepreneurs in the food ecosystem. This is one area where I believe the private sector needs to consider consolidating their ESG spend and align to a longer-term plan for growth. Investment in skills development and agricultural initiatives should align to priority growth areas, and in this way will ensure sustainable people and enterprise development. The speech is long, but I want to conclude on one, because I promised my friend Mr. Mlaud. Mining can coexist with agriculture. Let no one tell you lies. Mining can be here. We have De Beers, it's a mining group producing the biggest amount of potato. You should look at Sibanye and say, in the Carltonville, where can we partner with Sibanye? Where can we attract them so that we create jobs with those people? They can't just be miners, they must eat. So they must be able to produce their own food too and sell in the market in Johannesburg. And like I said, the speech is in writing. It will be shared with the Premier, and you will read the remainder of it. But I thought I should do justice to this conference and prepare a good speech for you. Thank you.
Did you just do that? An empty stomach, Albert Einstein said, is not a good political advisor. So, and sorry, Dr. Posa, my father is a very cool ancestor. He doesn't bother me. But if he knew I was rushing a farmer, he might reconsider, because he was a rural extension officer. So I can't be nasty to a farmer or anybody talking about food security. So let's move on. Thank you very much. And I like people who prepare their speeches, because we can engage them. Let's move on to the first panel, please. And I'm glad Deirdre Carter is here. Deirdre Carter. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Agri Limpopo. She's going to take us through this panel. Deirdre, let's make a deal. By 1, we are done, because we have another panel before lunch. We are not going to have lunch at the planned time. So let's welcome Deirdre Carter, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Chair, I think I realized that you were not intimidated with me walking your way so quickly, so that one didn't work. Honourable Premier, MECs, delegates, Tobela, goeiemorgen, good morning, ni hao. Today we gather under the theme Limpopo, a big food basket for the world. The reason I'm not sitting there, I find it very difficult to sit and speak, but we need to have a little bit of a setting of a scene. It's an inspiring topic because Limpopo truly has the capacity and the potential to play a central role in feeding not only our nation, but the world. And as Limpopo, we are extremely fortunate to have our Premier. She is a very, very busy bee. But our existence for agriculture and for the human race actually depends on bees. So, Premier, you have a fresh breath that we need to resuscitate not only agriculture, but the economy of Limpopo. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Poza for his presentation, and I honestly think that he deserves another round of applause. Agriculture is the cornerstone of Limpopo's economy, and it's also a key driver for South Africa as a whole. Although only 3% of the country's farms are located in Limpopo. Up to 3 years ago, we were the third largest employer in South Africa, just showing you how labor-intensive agriculture in Limpopo is. Now, known as the food basket of Southern Africa, our province benefits from climatic conditions that provide a critical production window when other regions cannot produce. And Dr. Poza, I just want to say to you, it's not only McDonald's, it is also Simba chips. The potatoes are coming from Bosveld. So this competitive advantage gives us a tremendous opportunity to increase our contribution to both local and global food supply. Now, agriculture and access to water, of course, are essential for all of us. Food security is a basic necessity, but without a sustainable supply of food and water, our communities and our very existence is at risk. This underscores the importance of protecting and growing Limpopo's agricultural capacity. We're fortunate to have significant untapped potential in the province, which gives us the chance to revitalize agriculture like never before. And one of the key tools that we have in our hand is our municipal valuation rolls. By examining the municipal valuation rolls, we can identify underutilized and state-owned land, as well as our tribal and CPA-owned land. With this information, we have a unique opportunity to enter into PPPs that can bring idle and land back into production. Then, special economic zones, or SEZs, are also critical to our vision for agricultural success, food security, and increased export revenue. So SEZs could play a powerful role in driving investment and boosting agricultural exports. However, while we need SEZs at all costs, we cannot have it at any cost. And I want to repeat it. While we need SEZs at all costs, it cannot be at any cost. We need to ensure that the development is carefully balanced and sustainable. For example, if we look at the Vhembe area, the climatic conditions there is perfect, where we can have a window period of 3 months where we can produce, for example, citrus in that area, where no one in the world can produce during that time. So we've got to look at the opportunities that are there. With the right focus, the region can uniquely serve international markets, like I explained. The opportunities are truly endless. And unlike other industries, agriculture has sustained humanity for thousands of years. And with responsible practices, it will continue to do so for generations to come. We must focus on sustainable farming to protect the legacy and maximize Limpopo's agricultural potential, but we must be honest with one another. Alongside the vast potential, there are real challenges we need to address. Emerging farmers in particular face significant barriers when it comes to access to markets. Now, I just want to mention here, as Organized Agriculture, we will be hosting Agri Expo, and at that Agri Expo, we will have commodity groups that would then assist farmers to have access to markets and technology. But farmers are also price takers rather than price makers, and farmers are particularly vulnerable to market fluctuations. So this makes it harder and harder to farm sustainably. You know, roads, water, electricity, all that infrastructure is foundational to the conversation. And without the basics, even the most productive farming operations will face limitations. As we sit here today, it's clear that real solutions and real growth can only come if we are willing to have open, robust, transparent discussions about the challenges that we are facing. We must be able to bring every obstacle to the table, knowing that every challenge has got a solution. By aligning our efforts, pooling our resources, and making strategic investment, we can build a resilient, thriving agricultural sector. So today, as we continue our discussion, let's remain open, collaborative. Let's envision the future we all want for Limpopo and work towards it with determination, strategy, and unity. At this point, I'm really honored to introduce our distinguished panelists today. Each of them brings a wealth of experience. And I must say, it's actually quite intimidating sitting there between them. Now, Dr. Pause doesn't need any introduction. Sadly, Leona Artery will not be joining us today. Her father-in-law passed away last night. So let our thoughts and prayers just go with her. Then we've got, on my far left, we've got Herman Potgieter, the CEO of Granopassi. We've got Fumelani that is joining us she's the CEO of Fruit SA. She is joining us online. I don't know if we will be able to just get her online as well. Then we've got Sikumzi May, and he is the Chief Economist at the Land Bank. So without further ado, I'm going to say we did try and cut everything a little bit, but just as a little bit of a scene setter, I'm just going to, we said that, we will do it not an introduction, but it will be like a 1.5 minute scene setter. Sikumzi, over to you, please. Yeah, they should be switching it over now. Testing? Okay, here you go.
Thank you, Program Director and Not on. Okay.
Oh,
okay. Thank you, Program Director and panelist, moderator Deirdre. I would like to pass my greetings to the Premier of the province and the MECs that are present, and all protocol observed. From the Land Bank, I think we're quite an instrumental organization, especially for this topic that we are undergoing. So the Land Bank was created to support the agricultural sector, but as it stands over the years, the mandate has evolved. And as such, what we are there for now is to still support the agricultural sector, but more on the development and transformation agenda that we are looking at. And safe to say the outcomes that are expected there is to create jobs, support food security initiatives, inclusiveness in terms of financial accessibility of finance to the previously disadvantaged, as well as looking at environmental stewardship. As we grant loans, we need to ensure that there's sustainable practices. So our role is to support the agricultural sector. We've got a branch here in Limpopo, which is strategically poised for this province. And
our strategy is also aligned to the national strategy of the Department of Agriculture, where we look at the Agriculture and Agro Master Plan in terms of the alignment of the key commodities that we're looking at supporting. Fortunately, the Limpopo province is positioned in such a manner that the high-value commodities that are supported by AMMP are actually what we're looking at supporting. And as such, what we have done is we have been in engagements with the local Department of Agriculture in terms of their strategy, how they are positioning themselves, so that we are aligned. So what we are doing is to collaborate with role players. We've got partnerships. Dr. Posa mentioned some of them. We are also in engagements with them. So there's quite a number of initiatives that we're putting in place. But if you look at from the economic perspective, I think the sector has had a bit of challenges. Looking at when we started the year, we grew by over 12% and followed by a contraction of about 2.1% GDP. We are waiting figures for the third quarter, but obviously pursue as the sector. I think there's a lot of resilience, I must say. Having worked also in this area of Limpopo in Mutimule, the sector thrives a lot. There's a lot of potential in terms of the sector. And I think when we look at the poultry industry as well as the beef industries which are situated in this province, there has been challenges, and I think we need to again go back and support those sectors and find ways of mitigating the FMT, which limits the opportunities for the province, but also from the poultry industry, where the number of layers have been culled, and as such, we need to build up another 30%. So this province is well suited in terms of the weather condition. Although it's semi-arid, I think there are investment opportunities which have been mentioned by Dr. Koza, which I won't repeat. But I think the Land Bank is well positioned to support, and we have created an ecosystem where we've got partnerships, working with different role players to see to it that we progress. We have realized over the years, working in a fragmented approach doesn't achieve any results, but through collaboration, I think we seeing traction as from the time we started with blended finance, whereby we have partnered with the Department of Agriculture, who have allocated funds to us, and then we blend them with a loan. And there has been traction, I must say, in terms of that. The allocation is growing. I will pause there. Maybe I will cover some of the issues as we progress with the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fumalani, online, over to you.
Greetings, Premier, MECs, distinguished guests, and thank you, Program Director and Moderator. First, allow me to introduce Food South Africa. We are an umbrella body for the food industry in South Africa. Our members are associations representing subtropical fruit, and then in the subtropical fruit, these are avocados, mango, and lychee producers, and then we have citrus, and then palm and stone fruit. For those who may not be familiar with this terminology, palm fruit are apples and pears, and then stone fruit will be your peaches, your nectarines, and your cherries, and your plums and prunes. And then we also represent so our members also the table grape industry, and then blueberries, as well as exporters through the Fresh Produce Exporters Forum. Our mission is to represent members, these associations who represent the fruit types that I just highlighted. So our mission is to represent them in providing advocacy, collaboration, coordination, and services on key industry-related matters. So the SA fruit industry, just for context, is export-oriented. Actually, 35% of all agricultural produce or agricultural exports by volume is fresh fruit. So if you look at the 2022-23 season, we produced just over 6 million tons of fruit, the different fruit types that I highlighted earlier on. And then we exported 60% of these to more than 100 destinations around the world. And just maybe also to highlight, in terms of creation, I think Dr. Posa also covered this, and Deirdre. Agriculture, because of its labor-intensive nature, is a contributor to employment. So in the fruit industry, in that past season that I just highlighted, there were 329,000 people who were employed directly on farms. So this figure does not include those employed upstream and downstream the chain. And just to highlight, I mean, fruit in the 2022-23 season was planted on just over around 203,000 hectares. And then about 27% of this hectarage is actually in Limpopo. So that's something to indicate that Limpopo is an important region in terms of fruit production in the areas that we cover. And I also need to highlight that Fruit South Africa focuses on 4 priority areas. The first one is transformation, and then market access, where we look at gaining, retaining, and optimizing access, and then government and stakeholder relations, and lastly, information management and communication. So I will leave it at this for now, and then I'll cover any other areas as we progress in the discussions. Thank you.
Try and just be short from your side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deirdre. Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. Like Dr. Posa said, I'm not a farmer, but I'm a farmer at heart. My grandparents grew up on farms, so it's in my blood. I work in the citrus industry, mainly in the agro-processing, secondary. But just as a fact, I mean, South Africa is not in the top 20 of citrus producers in the world. But take this into consideration. We're the second biggest citrus exporter in the world. And 40% of that citrus comes from Limpopo, this province. Grano Pasi is the largest agricultural processor of citrus in this country. By that saying, we are the largest in Limpopo. We have 3 dedicated citrus plants, our head office here in Polokwane, with a plant here, Letsetele, and then in Marble Hall. We're also in the apple and pear business, but that's in the Eastern Cape, so nothing said about that. And for all your people that lives there in Sandton, if you drink orange juice, 70% of that orange juice will be from Grano Pasi. 70% of the orange juice consumed in South Africa comes from Limpopo. So that's where we are, and that's where we invested in, and I believe that despite all the challenges we have, and there's plenty of them, we maybe will elaborate later, there is a future for us in probably not to use the Americans' slogans, but let's make Limpopo even greater. Thank you, Deirdre.
Thank you, Herman. But at this point, we're going to go over to questions. Dr. Posa, I actually want to start with you. One of the things that we see quite often in the media, especially when we get to the December or Easter time, you find that the queues of trucks standing at Beitbridge and fresh produce and that type of problems. So I want to pose the question to you. What would you say is the possibility, and will it have an effect, if we have a dry harbour located in, say, the Vembe area or close to the Beitbridge? Will that solve our problem?
Well, I hope you heard the question. The question is, how do we handle congestion at the border? Because fruits are perishables. It doesn't have to be only during December, but any other time. My view is based on an experiment we did in Mpumalanga recently, we're busy with it, of an SEZ at the border post of Komati Port. What do? You take that Vembe area there, you find a spot. You can actually make it an SEZ premier. But that spot must have people, immigration people from Zimbabwe and South Africa working together, packing there all the stuff going to Zambia and everywhere. Pack them on our soil and have a line at the border post which is open for those trucks. Cut out the red tape. and deliver the goods without that being rotten. That's the way to go. Inland port in Limpopo with refrigerations and everything. The trucks are packed there in Limpopo to Malawi, to everywhere. That's my answer. The farmer agrees. So it must be right, Mr. Farmer.
For sure.
It must be right. And the Premier, the second one, you made reference to the port, up to the airport. I love this airport. What we should do, I don't know if it has been done, with respect, I may be wrong, is to build storages with coolers. These farmers from Zanin and everywhere else must go and store there and fly those tomatoes to China from here. I said to you, it is impossible until it has happened. So, Prima, let's make it happen using that airport. Fly them up. They don't have to go to the Johannesburg fruit market from Polokwane to Beijing. Full stop.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pooza. So, Kumzi, I want to come to you. If we look at Limpopo's strategic importance in global food security, in your view, what makes Limpopo uniquely suited for large-scale agriculture?
I think if you look at the Limpopo province, it's well positioned in terms of looking at where it's located. It's close to the ports of Mozambique as well as other ports locally. We spoke about the issue of ports, the congestion and challenges that are there. But through the collaboration that is there, you find that opportunities are unlocked in terms of making sure that the produce reaches the outside destinations. So the collaboration is quite important between government as well as the private sector, which is helping. So as we grow the output within Limpopo, because there is potential, I think what is key is to look at the infrastructure, that's the first element, in two ways. So the first one would be to look at the water infrastructure. As you would know, Limpopo is a summit-arid province. It relies on two major river systems, which is the Limpopo and the Olifantsfontein River. Therein lies an opportunity to create infrastructure for storage of water. And secondly, the other element is investment on the farms. So you find that on the farms, we need to create efficiencies because water is a scarce resource these days. We need to manage it and introduce smart agriculture in terms of our irrigation systems. So from a land bank perspective, that is where we come in. We invest in that infrastructure and assist the farmers. So the opportunity lies in there for us to make sure that the farmers become efficient. And at the same time, we look at also the smallholder farmers. We need not to leave them behind, as Dr. Pooza alluded. We need to grow other, what you call partnerships and aggregations. So what we have done as a land bank, we've got an aggregator model wherein we look at various producers in a particular area and aggregate. We've negotiated with Tiger Brands. So there are opportunities for farmers in the grain industry to grow on that side. We know that the Limpopo province, so far as grain is concerned, is not a prominent province, but on the sorghum side, that's where the growth is. But if you look at the high-value crops, as mentioned, citrus, mangoes, avos, we need to invest in land that is underutilized. So meaning which, as partners, together with government and other departments, we need to go back and see how do we revitalize the CPAs that are no longer functional. We utilize those pieces of land, and we've started those engagements in other areas to put those back into production. But I must say, what we need to take into account and learn from our lessons is that what are the social issues that are there? Because as we have plans and vision of how to resolve some of our issues, we need to take into account the social issues for the project to work successfully. And that's an element that we want to address going forward. How do you then create beneficiation for those farmers upfront when it comes to services that are provided within those properties? They need to be the ones as communities that will take the first benefit so that they can see upfront, is it for them, or is it for somebody else? So in terms of the strategic areas that are there, as I've mentioned, the high value crops, because they create employment. It has been mentioned already that they are high capital, they are high labor intensive, to improve the numbers. And also the other opportunities, I like what Dr. Koza mentioned, that the mines and agriculture coexist. We are in discussion with some of the mines where the unutilized land, because they normally use about 5% of the land, the rest is remaining unutilized. So if we tap into those type of land parcels and collaborate and make them productive, we inject capital from our side, which is a blended finance, especially to start up with production finance, because if you have access to land, we can provide production finance, which is key to growing your capital base and have all the assets you need so that you can then later acquire a farm. Thank you. I'll pause there.
Yeah. No, thank you. And I think the whole key is here. What is the word that keeps on coming out? Collaboration, investment. And if you look at that, if we have a collaboration, if investment is there, that will actually also address the social challenges that we have in the communities and in the areas. Now, Herman, you stated earlier that, we'll get to a point where we'll talk about the challenges. But, it doesn't help us always just talking about challenges. What would you say is the solution to the current infrastructure challenges, water challenges? Do you have solutions on those challenges?
Thank you. Thank you, Deirdre. Hello. Hello. Thank you, Deirdre. Yeah, I don't profess to sit here and know all the answers to all the questions. We, in the business, we like to manufacture stuff, and like the Premier rightly says, we need to beneficate the product we have. This nonsense of, sorry for the word, of exporting everything out of our country needs to stop. I don't know how many chips are manufactured in Limpopo. I know potatoes are grown here, Doctor, but where's that industries? Where's, let's beneficate everything. Why must, and I know we have good relationship everywhere, but our metals goes to China and we import the stuff back. Let's make it here. So yeah, and to a biggest thing in like the Premier said, this is an investment conference. It's the first time I'm here. Is the fact that how do we attract investment? We must be very careful, and it happened in other provinces, that we don't do de-investment. And by that we need to fix the infrastructure, like you say, Deirdre. As a business in Polokwane, and it's all over the news, one of our biggest problems today is water. We work with food. I cannot run a factory without water. And I know there's a lot of plans and stuff in place. And I've got really, what did I say, the new government of national unity, what did they give us? And we had it in our Agri-Limpopo Congress, is hope. So I have hope for the Premier and the MEC to fix these problems and do that. So, but that's why we're there as well. Reach out to businesses. We will reach out. We are open. Let's collaborate, public and private participation. We might not have all the solutions. Grano, for instance, we fixed our own electricity problem. Thanks to the minister, this year we haven't had load shedding. But we had put in solar, we did generators. So it's a lot of capital that what could have been spent on employee upliftment rather than in putting it energy. So there's lots of other ways to invest the money we make back into the future. Now we have to, take that money, it comes to our bottom line, and, instead of investing it in that stuff. So I think there's a lot of things in our business. Also the infrastructure, the road infrastructure is important. Farmers need to get the produce to the factories. We needed to get to the ports, 100%. And I must say, I fly quite a lot out of Polokwane, but there's a lot of potential there, and I think there's a lot of work to be done at our Polokwane International Airport. We need to be proud of it. I don't know when, I'm sure a lot of you fly out of there, and yeah, it's not always good. So yeah, I see a good future, but let's do the participation. I mean, and by that I'm saying I invite all the MECs, Premier, the Mayor, to come visit our businesses, come see what we do, understand what we do. We can have a collaboration, and I'm sure this is a good way to fix this, Deirdre.
No, thank you, Herman. And I see, Dr. Pauza, you're actually at the edge of your chair there. I can just see you want to come in on this one.
No, not that one.
Oh.
The mining part. You know, colleagues, I used to work very closely with the late President Mugabe. And I convinced him that there's no need for them to send their platinum outside the country. And that will bring catalytic product businesses to Zimbabwe to process that platinum in Zimbabwe. You hear what I'm saying? The chrome, to process chrome in Zimbabwe. Today, that's the direction of Zimbabwe. If you look at those big Chinese steel factories, because Zimbabweans are accepting that, they're insisting you mine, you process here. You don't mine and then we export stones to China and you bring back the product. You got to process here, the fruit you must process here. That must be our orientation as South Africans, and we have the skills to do it. My last words, Prima, is that we are prepared to partner with your government as ACTA.
Now, we are running out of time. So I'm going to ask that, I just want to leave all of the panelists with one message, of one action that you believe will most strengthen Limpopo's role as a global food basket. 1 minute. Just one action or solution. And maybe what we should do is start with you, from Lani.
Okay, thank you, Deirdre. I think previous speakers have already touched on this. I think the issue of partnerships is crucial. No one entity can resolve the challenges that we are presented with by themselves. And I think us as well as industry, we are ready to partner. We're already partnering. If we take the case of Limpopo, for instance, with the Department of Agriculture, particularly when it comes to the support that is given to your new emerging producers. But on infrastructure as well, let's partner. I mean, the magnitude of the problem is just too big for one party. And we can all leverage on the resources that we have, and then so that we can have meaningful impact at scale. So the bottom line in terms of my message is collaboration, collaboration, collaboration.
Thank you. Herman, from your side, 1 minute.
Yeah, Fenone, I want to join you there. What I had in my mind is collaboration. And by that say, and there's evidence. 2 weeks ago, I was at the Majeji Citrus project opening in other side of Eiland Letsetele, where public and private enterprise came together. The DTI, Motsepe Foundation, Komati Group, which is one of our members, and I'm sure this project is going to be a success. We have all the hope. So, yeah, collaboration. Let's work together. Let's build this country and this province like Mr. Matiposa said. Believe everything can be done. People landed on the moon, so nothing's impossible. That's my belief always. Thank you.
Mr. Kunze, 1 minute.
Thank you. I think for me, what is key is that we are faced with a challenge, which is climate change. And we should always see a challenge as an opportunity. How do we then overcome the change in climate to make sure that agriculture is sustainable, food security is still there for South Africans, and even provide globally? So I would say innovation is quite important for us to adopt the innovative practices that are there. There's a lot of technology that is out there that needs adoption, and we need to embrace it because it will empower us to know more and inform our decision as farmers so that we better prepared and maximize our profitability and be sustainable. Thank you.
From your side?
Well, MEC of Economic Affairs, let us facilitate discussions between the banks, the Land Bank included, and LEADER, and discuss the agricultural possibility in Limpopo. In that collaboration, we facilitate, that's our motto, facilitate working together, integrate the capital which is available, and the last word is implement and implement and implement.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we are running out of time. We would have liked to actually have about a 15-minute question from the floor as well. So I've made a recommendation that anyone that's got questions, maybe write it on a piece of paper. You can either just bring it to, to us. We're sitting in the second row here, and we will try and, answer those even if it's in writing. So, but thank you very much to the panel. We really appreciate all your time, and I think we actually next time need an additional hour. But thank you so much.
Definitely. A round of applause. Dr. Posa, you will come to your alma mater and carry this discussion forward.
I will revolutionize the University of the North.
Exactly. Well, you did it before, so you can do it again. But seriously, Premier and everybody, once we start talking sectors, one of the strongest schools at the university is agriculture. And this suggestion that every stakeholder should be brought together in a much more action-oriented kind of discussion, I can commit that the university should be willing to facilitate something like that. MEC, you know where the university is. You are the honorary student there. So I'm sure that you'll find your way. So I'm committing here that the Vice Chancellor would definitely want a discussion like that on our premises. Thank you very much, Deirdre Carter, for helping us to try and catch up on time. We have the second panel discussion before lunch. It's not a very fair location. It's not a very fair slot to give, but I think if anybody can manage, is Dr. Nolwandle Mgokri, the Aon SA Chief Executive Officer. I'm going to ask her to bring her panel onto stage. And I don't know, is Minister Pakstow joining us virtually, or is he here? Is he virtual? Or is he here? Good Lord, how do I not see him? Okay. Minister Parks, I would say let's get the panel on stage while he delivers his remarks so that we save on time. I'm pleading with everybody, we should be ready for lunch by 1:45, because we are already way beyond our time. It's the only thing that doesn't care about our problems is time. So please get onto stage while we are lining up. Where is Minister Tao? Okay. Well, I'll just ad-lib until he's on stage, because I cannot see from up here. Premier, while they are talking, do you love flowers, Premier? Premier, do you love flowers? As in freshly cut flowers, brought by a man in a suit trying to... Yes. If you are in Europe, and you buy flowers, freshly cut flowers, 1 out of 3 comes from Kenya. 1 out of 3. The interesting thing is they are fresh flowers sold in Europe, but cut in Kenya. What's my point? If you have an airport and the right kind of logistics, you can move flowers from the farm to the Valentine using a flight that lasts longer than 8 hours. Think about that. When Dr. Posa was talking about the airport here in Polokwane, he was talking about exactly that. The second thing is, during COVID, almost all airlines in the world were not profitable. They didn't make money. There were about 2 or 3 airlines all over the world that made money in 2020, 2021. About 3 of them, only, all over the world. And one of them was Ethiopian Airlines. And the reason Ethiopian Airlines made money was because it continued to move cargo. It took its aircraft and converted them into cargo airplanes. Because even when people were not moving, they were still needing medication, they needed masks, they needed sanitizers, they needed food, and so they just turned their airplanes into cargo airplanes. The point is, I'm on my knees, as I always am, for the airport to become a serious player in this SADC. And I gave you the numbers, Premier, how in less than 4 hours you can fly to more than 20 destinations in that SADC region from Polokwane. So, Minister Parkstow, I was wondering if you are boycotting us. I was going to take it personally, sir, because I was going to think it's because of me. All right, let's welcome Dr. Mgokri and Minister Parkstow to the stage. You are delivering an address, sir, to set the scene for our panel discussion. What a way to arrive. Hey, just in time. He took it to another extreme. Just in time. Arrive, get on stage, get it over and done with. A round of applause for Minister Parkstow. Okay. No, you just in time. You just in time. Welcome. We have fresh water here. So, yeah. All right, you are setting the scene for the panel, and then I'll come back when it's lunchtime.
Thank you very much to our program director, and good afternoon.
As one of
to
the leading
you.
international construction companies, do you have some good suggestion for Limpopo infrastructure development? So that's the first one. The second one is, with the growing importance of regional connectivity, what innovative partnership model approaches can be introduced to support, enhance the province? It's the innovation one, okay? You guys gave us these questions, okay? It's about innovation. And the last one is, what area does China State Construction focus?
All right, hang on. Sound man, you're tripping me.
For you, okay. Are you?
Who's speaking in the first place? Am I hearing voices here? Hey. No, we don't want Sophia the robot here, man. Okay, who is speaking when the minister should be speaking? I mean, no, we don't. No, artificially, we want real intelligence. All right, minister, please. I promise you Sophia won't say anything.
Thank you very much to our program director, Honorable Premier Poppy Ramathuba, the MEC for Economic Development and Environment, MEC Matibe, Executive Mayor of the host city, and all other executive mayors and mayors here present, SALGA representatives, traditional leaders, our bishops and priests, ministers of religion, CEOs and captains of industry, international guests and investors, ladies and gentlemen. I should say, Premier, that I was somewhat surprised that I arrived and for some reason I'm welcomed by people I'm familiar with in Gauteng. So the program director, when he's not in Limpopo, is a neighbor. And then I nearly said Truza. And Tatedi Pehela is also in the neighborhood. In another context, I would have said he's now defected to a slightly different branch because of demarcation. But indeed, it indicates the level to which we are interconnected, interrelated, and should continue to work as part of a country in search of opportunities and solutions to its complex challenges, and yet opportunities that present themselves. It is truly an honor, ladies and gentlemen, to be here today at this Provincial Investment Conference, this current discussion focusing on world-class infrastructure. Limpopo connects Africa and the world. These gatherings allow us as government to engage meaningfully with our provinces to better understand their unique needs as we work together to unlock inclusive economic growth. I wish to echo the words of the Premier when she says that Limpopo stands as a strategically positioned province bordered by Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, a true gateway to the African continent of 1.2 billion consumers and counting. The opportunity, therefore, to beneficiate Limpopo's vast mineral resources and rapidly increase manufactured exports to SADC and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area member states is too big for South Africa to let slip. Premier, MECs and colleagues, the critical success factor for this bold plan is infrastructure, and here Limpopo has been making remarkable strides in infrastructure development to support its economic recovery and growth, with investments spanning roads, industrial parks, and telecommunications. The Trans-Limpopo Corridor connects this province to both Johannesburg and Polokwane, whilst Limpopo's industrial parks are home to a diverse range of manufacturing and service companies. The province is balancing its rich natural resources and biodiversity with the needs of its people, investing in sustainable infrastructure to secure access to water, minerals, and agricultural land. Investment in infrastructure is a central pillar of our economic development goals. As government, we are implementing bold initiatives to accelerate infrastructure delivery and create an environment that inspires business confidence, sustainability, and ultimately drives investment. Since July 2020, the total value of South Africa's strategic integrated projects has increased significantly from 340 billion rand to 540 billion rather. 18 projects valued at around 10 billion rand have been completed, covering human settlements, roads and water and sanitation infrastructure. Currently, we have projects worth over 230 billion in construction. With nearly 170 billion in procurement. And in 2024 alone, 11 projects with a total value of 45 billion are expected to reach financial close. Through Infrastructure South Africa, 25 billion worth of renewable energy projects have been fast-tracked, and a pipeline of high-impact projects worth $56.8 billion now has been presented for private sector finance. The province of Limpopo has been actively collaborating with Infrastructure South Africa to align its economic recovery and infrastructure development goals with a national perspective, strengthening our shared commitment to a prosperous future. Ladies and gentlemen, the Special Economic Zones Program, driven by the DTIC, offers a compelling value proposition for investors. with benefits like business-ready infrastructure, reducing costs of essentials like land, water and electricity, and tax incentives, including a reduced corporate tax rate. By leveraging these SEZs, we can foster industrialization, unlock new opportunities, and drive sustainable development across the continent. Limpopo's Musina Makhado SEZ is a key example addressing while Makhado focuses on metallurgical and mineral beneficiation. We assist with the issues that are facing this SEZ, which is split into the north and the south sides. And we're working on resolving some of the challenges that the SEZ has had to deal with. The technical unit of the Industrial Zones Program has been deployed and is working on packaging a designation application in the province. The team is also assisting with the installation of bulk services in the SEZ. This, we believe, will unblock some of the specific challenges related to infrastructure development and investment. And maybe if I were to repackage it and say, in a discussion we had with the Premier, there was an acknowledgement of some of the challenges that are faced by this SEZ. And yes, we've deployed the team to help resolve some of those challenges. But until we resolve some of those challenges, it constrains the ability of the SEZ to move forward. And we are taking a view that what we need to do working with the province is to package it such that the site that has already been designated, we deal with the problems on a site-specific basis. But that we are able to look at the other side and see if we can designate that site so that the SEZ is not constrained by the problems of the past. And that is what we want to do. Now, Premier, I was asking the colleagues, but the Premier is going to ask me, when is this thing going to happen? And we say, okay, let's target the last quarter of this financial year or the first quarter of the next calendar year to finalize designation and to resolve some of the issues. Some of them are a lot more complex, but we think that we can enable Musina Makhado to proceed even with the challenges that we currently have. That's really what we've been trying to say with the complex, convoluted English that we've put on the speech. I should say the Premier is very persuasive as a person. She persuaded the President that I shouldn't go to KZN today to accompany the President. So many of you would have seen that my name was not on the program because I'd said, well, I have to join the President, Deputy Minister. I had to join the President, and it's important, there's a business delegation. And for some reason, I found myself here because of the Premier. So she's also persuaded us to do something about these special economic zones. Additionally, we are excited about the proposed Fetakgomo Tubatse SEZ, which promises to be another anchor of growth and development for the province. We are working on the process of designation and can say that within the current financial year, we should designate Fetacom Tubanze as easy. These SEZs are strategically located along the N1 North-South Corridor route into the Southern Africa Development Community and region close to the South Africa-Zimbabwe border. The Trans-Limpopo Spatial Development Initiative aims to attract investment, stimulate economic growth, and create employment opportunities through a holistic regional approach. I'm excited by the cooperation between the Gauteng and Limpopo provinces in expanding this venture through a rail network which will deepen connectivity. Honorable Premier, with its wealth of natural resources, Limpopo is well positioned to play a major role in South Africa's desire to add value to our mineral wealth so that we become a nation of artisans, engineers, and sophisticated factories. Our people are not satisfied to remain poor miners forever while our competitors profit from the nation's mineral wealth. South Africa is a well-established automotive sector which is in transition as the world transitions to new energy vehicles. We are also privileged to have access to many of the minerals that are required for this transition. The Bushveld Complex's location along the Platinum Belt provides a unique opportunity for South Africa to advance its ambitions in the green hydrogen economy and the battery value chains. Leveraging the established auto industry, we can work towards value-added products in these critical sectors. We must work towards policy certainty to attract investment in the beneficiation of the platinum group of metals, nickel, and rare earth metals to reinvigorate the economy of Limpopo and indeed the country as a whole. Through Operation Vulindlela, we have made notable progress in transforming our logistics, which will support the movement of mined goods across the country, enabling us to capitalize on the growing demand for these critical minerals. And I'm sure there isn't a secret as to why Deputy Minister Shabalala is here, because indeed the strategic role she plays in the mineral sector is critical for this province. Ladies and gentlemen, the program director is next to me. Do you want me to finish now? Okay. I'm just going to make statements with regards to the industrial parks as engines for local growth. Through the Industrial Parks program, we have revitalized the Nkuankwa Industrial Park in Tzaneen. Pepperchew International, one of the largest companies in the park, has invested around 200 million rand into its operations, expanding its facilities to include a state-of-the-art food processing site, creating much-needed jobs and exporting to over 26 countries. The point we want to emphasize here is that we've made a deliberate decision to massively invest in these industrial parks throughout the country. Over the next few years, you will witness literally in every province a focus on the industrial parks and ensuring that these are rehabilitated, revitalized, and can play a much more important role than they played in the past. If I were to say, as I leave the podium, it possibly is an indictment that industrial parks, that were of course designed for purposes of consolidating the morphology of an apartheid South Africa, were left derelict because we did not introduce policies that sustained them. Of course, they were sustained through mechanisms of seeking to protect apartheid, so incentives were created to keep those parks alive. As we sought to normalize the environment, and do away with apartheid structures, we also threw the baby out with the bathwater. Now we can't afford to do that. It can't be that you go to an area and the people say to you, but we used to have jobs here and they've disappeared. So our responsibility is to ensure that we not only revitalize them, but ensure that they assume a much more active industrial and transformation role in the economy of our country. Thank you very much.
No, you may. You may. That's all right. Thank you. The rest, Minister, will be a neighborhood squabble. I'll bring avocados. I'll load tomatoes and potatoes and everything from Limpopo when I come to GP, and then the squabble will be settled. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we move right away to having set that scene. Oh, okay. Let's see. No. All right, Minister, maybe, are we able to get an